Vidya Karavavanai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mamidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Yesterday we saw Karma Yoga, and what do we actually understand without the verses? What do we understand by Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is a technical word, and it's a definition of a person. That somebody is a Karma Yogi only when karma, which means actions. Normally we use actions to get things in the world. That's the purpose of action. A Karma Yogi uses actions to what? Prepare the mind for the knowledge. Very different purpose of why you're performing action. That's what makes you a Karma Yogi. Right? The other ones are performing actions for getting Artha and Kama. Karma Yogi is interested in moksha, and for that knowledge wants to prepare the mind. So the purpose of karma changes, why you are doing actions. Now the next thing is, okay, if my purpose for doing action has changed, now how do I now use the actions to prepare the mind? How do I do it? So then the three verses that we saw yesterday talk about how the same actions which gave you frustration can be converted into actions which prepare you for the knowledge. How? The actions have, life is nothing but series of actions. And generally what happens is, when you perform, there are two aspects to living your daily life. One is making the choices of actions. Every minute you are somehow confronted with making a choice. When you're in breakfast, do I have tea or coffee? Do I eat a lot or do I eat a little less? All these is, life is nothing but series of choices, starting from morning till night. And also, life is not only about making choices, but also, as you make choices, what the outcomes emerge. So therefore, when the outcomes emerge, then what you're dealing with the outcomes. So if you have mastered these two of what making choices and dealing with the outcomes, your life can become much easier. Normally, for a person who's doing actions, the main guiding force for choices is raga and dvesha. And as such, there is nothing wrong with it. Why? Because everybody is only going to engage in getting things that what one likes and avoiding things that one doesn't like. There is not something wrong with that fundamentally. The only problem comes is if raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes, are the only criteria for your decision making, then at times dharma gets sacrificed. What is right and what is wrong. And what is right and what is wrong is not something which is externally imposed. If it was externally imposed, I can ignore it. It is in your buddhi. The understanding is in your buddhi. You can't erase it. No matter how much you try to block it, you can't erase it. And when the actions are guided only by raga and dvesha, what I like, what I don't like, and when I disregard dharma, there is an outcome. There is a consequence. And what is the consequence? Like we saw last class, the consequence is guilt, the consequence is fear, the consequence is low self-esteem, the consequence is being suspicious of others because others can also do it. The consequence is distrust in life. So that means when you are making the choices which are born only out of raga and dvesha, this is the baggage you end up with. And for the person who's afflicted with all of this, Atma is limitless, is far away. Therefore, it's very easy. What you have to do is not, please, that overcompensation. This is what we call overcompensation. Oh, raga dvesha is creating a problem. Oh, let's get rid of raga dvesha. Let me pretend as though I have no likes and dislikes. This is when you become pseudo-spiritual. Pretend to have no preferences, pretend to be indifferent to things, just in this awareness. That makes you a person who's unreal. All you have to do is express your likes and dislikes. Obviously, that's part of rationality. But don't disregard dharma. When your raga and dvesha come in conflict with dharma, what should be your choice? If you are an intelligent human being, if you are a karma yogi, where you want the mind which is clear, objective, free from conflict, which can basically understand the knowledge, dharma, what? Dharma is never sacrificed. And by not doing so, you are not obliging anybody else. Please understand. By following dharma, you are not obliging the society, you are not obliging your parents, your children, you are not obliging the religion, or you are not even obliging Lord Krishna. You are doing it for yourself. Because you do want to avoid a mind with conflict. A mind in conflict is an agitated mind. And an agitated mind, if you don't resolve it adequately, you are never going to be comfortable with yourself. No matter how many times you repeat, I'm Brahman, something inside will tell you everything is not totally fine. You can't fool yourself. This is Ishvara's order. So therefore, Karma Yoga becomes an extremely important means through which you continue to act, but you avoid the baggage by making the right choices. Then, when the results, the second source of conflict when I perform actions is when things don't happen my way. That's the second source. When things don't happen my way, as I told you yesterday, the normal human being is afflicted again. So while making a choice, the person is afflicted. While receiving the result, the person is afflicted. So actions bring about too many afflictions. When things don't happen my way, as I told you yesterday, two kind of category of responses happen. One is you begin to blame others. One time this, one time that, one time that. And ultimately, the world is bad, the world is unfair, the world is mess. That is one type of personality. The other type of personality is, oh, I'm no good. I can't do anything right. I'm a failure. So that means, while doing actions, if I go against dharma, the baggage comes. When I receive the result, and if things don't happen according to my wishes, again further baggage. So that means we all, by the time we are 40, 50, we become bundle of baggages. So therefore, now what Krishna says, while making a choice bring in dharma, but when things don't happen my way, then what? Then he says, the only way to bring samatvam is to understand where the result is coming from. We have an illusion of controlling the result. Understand that the result is not in your hand. That is a fact. It's not an advice. If the result was in your hand, you will always get whatever you want in life. So therefore, the result is not, he's not telling you don't think about result. He's not doing that. He's just making a statement of fact that the result is not in your hand. Therefore, at any given point in time, you can have one of the four results. What? Equal, more, less, and opposite. And every human being knows it. You look at your life and you'll see that. Nobody can deny it. Fact. Now, it seems, how am I going to have some kind of a equilibrium when things happen my way and things don't happen my way? How is it possible? So this is where, again, it is possible only when you have knowledge of where the results come from. If you understand the fact that results don't come my way, not because life is not treating me well, but because there are series of laws. The laws of cause and effect, which connects the present event, the result that I get, to series of causes, which some of which I may be aware of, a lot of it I may not be aware of. Because my capacity to figure out what are the causes which leads to, if I ask you a question, what exactly, tell me what exactly leads to global warming. Tell me from the time of Industrial Revolution to now, series of events which has led to global warming. Tell me, all the events. Do you know? You don't know. You don't know, does it mean that they were not there? They were there. So that means at any given point in time, the information that we have of the past causes is by definition limited. So from our vision, it seems as though with the information that I have, it seems as though things are not fair. What you need to, that's it, that is what we say, you need to replace this feeling things are not fair with the understanding that things happen because of laws of cause and effect which are infallible in nature. You don't make a mistake. It is an outcome of the choices that I make. But the life is so complex that all of us are interconnected. So that means if the global warming that we are all facing is not an outcome of only my personal choices, it's an outcome of what? The choices that we make as what? Human beings. So that means I don't have total control over it, but I still have capacity to act. This is something. If I feel global warming or any environmental issue or any other issue is a problem, then that takes away the frustration and it puts you in a problem solving mode. But you can only, your question was very good. Her question was, I love this question because she said, yeah, on one hand we are saying intelligently using the faculty of choice, and on the other hand we are talking about relaxing in the lap of Ishvara. Seems contradictory. But it is not. Because your whole presence is pervaded by laws of Ishvara. When you make the choices incorporating the laws of Ishvara, you can be highly active and you can be relaxed. Because your choices are based on dharma. And the results you understand are according to the infallible laws. So even if things don't happen your way, you still relax. Not the old self who gets irritated, that wants to get back. Oh, this man is so bad, the system, it sucks. Not like that. That is when you learn to flow with life. You're engaged, you're proactive, and at the same time relaxed. And you don't carry any burden on your shoulder. That is the purpose of Karma Yoga. From this dissatisfied, complaining, low self-image person to a person who is proactive, doing things, is alive of the forces that are at work and takes those forces in one's stride to accomplish what one wants. And even if one doesn't accomplish what one wants, then the person is in a problem-solving mode. As Shan was saying, what can I do next? Not that, oh my God, this is so bad. This person is so bad. That if your decision-making is done from that position, your decision-making is not going to be effective. So therefore, you are engaging and at the same time relaxed and free from the problems of, when you perform actions in keeping with dharma, what are the problems you are free from? Guilt, fear, distrust, suspicion, low self-esteem. And when you receive the result with the understanding that the infallible laws of Ishvara give you the result, then you free yourself from what? Again, the low self-esteem, I'm a failure, and the tendency to blame the world. same actions which brought you this whole big baggage, the same actions can be done to what? Undo the baggage. Karma yoga. Life becomes simpler. Life becomes beautiful when you learn to flow with the order of Ishvara. So, this is the purpose of Karma Yoga which we saw first. Now, today. Now, Arjuna is listening. The third chapter, actually by the time Lord Krishna finishes the second chapter, he's pretty much told everything. He's told about the nature of Atma, he's talked also about how to prepare and how to use Karma Yoga for undoing the mess. Then actually the whole teaching should end, but it doesn't because Arjuna has a question. And what's that question? Here. Arjuna uvacha jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. So now Arjuna is trying to listen. He is trying to listen to what Lord Krishna was talking about first, the nature of Atma, then Karma Yoga and all of that. And he has a question. And he is saying that from what you say, I understand that Atma is already free. Atma is already what? The truth of time, the truth of space, the truth of every object. It is without any attributes, it is limitless. So, Atma is already free, and right now I don't have knowledge of that Atma. So therefore, I need to do what? Very simple thing. What do I need to do? Remove the ignorance and get to know the nature of Atma. Easy. Knowledge. Knowledge is the solution. When ignorance is the problem, knowledge alone is the solution. There is no other solution. Because no action can produce limitlessness. Action being limited in time and space and effort, it cannot produce limitlessness. So that means the only way to gain my true nature is by removing my ignorance. Then he says, so therefore he is saying, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana. So I feel that knowledge is the ultimate solution. Action has no role to play in knowing the nature of Atma. Then he says, if that is the case, tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. If karma has no role to play in this gaining this knowledge of Atma, why are you asking me to engage in action? I see action is redundant. And not only you are asking me to do action, you are asking me to do this ghora karma. Ghora karma means it's not an ordinary karma. He's not asking him to go and do work and go and have a little better attitude with your boss. He's not saying that. He's asking him to what? Fight the war with his own cousins. So therefore, he says, if knowledge is the solution, why are you asking me to do action? Do you understand the question? What is the role of action? So, now what Lord Krishna has to say, we have to see.
Yajnathat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. Basically, Lord Krishna says, yes, it is true that only knowledge will give you what? Moksha. There is no other thing. Why only knowledge will give you? Because Atma is already free. You don't have to make Atma free. It's already free. Then, why karma? Karma has the role to play in, as I told you, your own maturity. Because without that maturity, knowledge will not take place. So, previously, Lord Krishna talked about Samanya Dharma in Karma Yoga. This time, he doesn't repeat the whole thing about Samanya Dharma. He brings another aspect of Dharma and says, hey, living a life and doing karma is something which is very important because it contributes to your growth. And this time he talks about Swadharma. The other one was Samanya Dharma. What is Samanya Dharma? Universal ethical values. This time he is talking about Swadharma. What is Swadharma? Is one's own duties. Now, why is it now? When he talks about one's own duty, he is also answering the second question of Arjuna. What were his two questions? What will bring me final fulfillment in life? That was what? The fundamental human problem, and he wanted an answer for that. And already that was given in the second chapter. His second question was, what should I do now in this situation? Situational problem. Dharma sammuda chetaha. I'm not sure what needs to be done. So now he's answering the second question of Arjuna by talking about one's own duties and responsibilities. Even if you want ultimately the knowledge of Atma, you cannot just say, oh, that is what is going to give me, and overlook your duties as an individual. Your duties and responsibilities, actually, when you perform with a proper attitude, then it leads to growth, which leads to understanding of nature of Atma. So, he introduces, how does he introduce Swadharma? He introduces Swadharma with a very beautiful imagery of yajna. Okay? Yajnatha karmano anyatra. Okay? So what does yajna mean? Yajna literally means a Vedic ritual. A Vedic ritual where you see your connection with everything else in the universe. Now, that Vedic ritual itself, he uses as an imagery of the world itself. The world is designed in a way that we are all interconnected. And what you do affects me, and what I do affects you. Nobody can say, I don't care. That is just a coping mechanism that we try to convince ourselves. You want to protect yourself. So therefore, the world is organized in a way that others' actions affect me and my actions affect everybody else. What is going to be the quality of your participation in this world? Either you can participate with only the idea of just grabbing, or you can not participate saying the world is really not at all nice. In both cases, you are not doing your swadharma. Either being passive or being what? Over aggressive and looking only at your self-interest and not looking at what impact your actions are going to have on others. So therefore, Swadharma is performing your duties and responsibilities as an offering to this whole big yajna which is going on in this world. Swakarma is the expression that I have, which is my contribution to the world. If I improve the quality of my contribution to the world or my participation in the world, if you have now understood that there is dharma and karma, what will happen to me? Not only I will benefit others, but what will happen to me? I will be protected. Because that's a law of dharma and karma. And not only I will be protected, but I will feel good about myself, which is very much required for me to get out of sadness that I'm feeling right now. So therefore, he says, Yajnartha karmano anyatra. So he tells him, the same war that you were, if you are not deciding not to fight the war, what will he do? Will he perform his karma, his duty? No, he'll be passive. The same war if he performs with, they have been so mean to me and now I want to get back. What will it be? Just thinking about what? Your own hurt. The whole action is by what? Your resentment. It is initiated by your hurt, your resentment, your anger. They will not help. But when the action is initiated by looking at the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture in the case of Duryodhana? That here there is this person who is corrupt and is consistently adharmic. And the more people, we give him license to do what he wants, more adharmic he becomes. And he's not just an ordinary person, Duryodhana, he's a king.
Is this your region for the idea of balancing energies in Asia? For example, I was always struggling with the idea of why do they have to die for something, and it's about not to lose your face. This is one thing, and the other one is just to balance the energies, because if something is like, if there's an energy like impact, then it has to be like equalized.
Counterbalancing.
Yeah, this is about that.
So exactly. So here it's more like in terms of a dharma. If so, you are confronted with a situation where somebody is adharmic, and you have been a victim of that adharma. And if, let's say, it was only kind of a family feud and all, you can say, okay, you let go, or you can put your place. But here, what Lord Krishna is saying is, the issue is even bigger.
Yeah.
Because Duryodhana is not just a cousin, he is also a king. And a corrupt king who has absolute power and who's arrogant, what can that person do?
to not only you, but to everybody else. So, our Swamiji used to say, power corrupts and absolute power absolutely corrupts. Especially if the person is adharmic. Now, if Duryodhana is adharmic and he has a huge power over so many individuals, he inevitably is going to abuse the power, as he has done so many times before. And who are all the people who are going to suffer? Not only Pandavas, but what? All the subjects of his kingdom. Now, all the subjects of their kingdom may not like him, but they may not have the ability to what? Challenge him. So Lord Krishna says, in the grand scheme of things, you are in a position where you have both the ability and the skill to challenge him. And if you don't do your swadharma, not looking at only this hurt and resentment and getting back, but doing it for yajna, means for the well-being of everyone. Then what he says, this karma, when you do with this attitude, then it will lead to freedom from karma bandhana. It will prepare you for moksha. This type of a karma will not bind you. It will help you in getting the freedom. Because you are performing what is expected of you. Every individual, according to Swadharma. What is the idea of Swadharma? That every individual has a unique place in this world. Each one is endowed with one's unique talents, skills, resources, and enjoys a very specific place in the universe. And the whole universe, the well-being of the universe is based on each one performing their job rightly. That's how the whole universe is kept in harmony. Each one has to play one's part. You can't take a free ride on somebody else's part.
But that means that the swadharma of Arjuna is in this particular situation is more important than ahimsa in general.
Super.
So
that means that is wonderful. So that means if you look at what Arjuna had to do, if you take the first portion of Karma Yoga and say Samanya Dharma, then it was what the Samanya Dharma normally is what? Ahimsa. But as I told you yesterday, that every dharma which is a universal dharma comes with a qualification. There is no such thing called absolute dharma. It needs to be interpreted. And what is the criteria for interpretation? The criteria for interpretation is the larger good. If you do it, if you interpret dharma just to suit yourself, you will go wrong in your choice. But if you interpret dharma to look at the larger good, then this is how dharma has to be interpreted. So we saw several stories. When I was telling you the story of Mahabharata, I showed you how many times exalted people wrongly interpreted dharma. The first example I gave was what? Bhishma, retelling the story. Bhishma, who had taken a vow, which is what? I will protect the king of Hastinapura. And he stuck to this vow like this narrowly defined dharma. What he needed to do was interpret the dharma. To say, yes, I had vowed to protect the king of Hastinapura, provided the king was legitimate. If the person has become the king through illegitimate means, I have no obligation to protect this person. Interpretation of dharma, but not for your own benefit, but for looking at the larger picture. So therefore, this is how Swadharma, that's why living a life of dharma is not some kind of a rigid, rule-based following. It requires a lot of discretion. It requires a very subtle kind of a mind. It requires for you to broaden your perspective and look at the implication of your actions not only in your immediate surrounding but also on others. This is what makes you a person who really begins to grow and connect with the whole universe, because you are thoughtful about what you are doing with your life. And in that thoughtfulness there is growth, your own growth. You have to first become a noble person. So therefore, changing your story. Me, poor me, I want the world to behave exactly my way, and otherwise I'm complaining, dissatisfied, to the person who understands that I live in this universe, which is what? Neither organized by me. I just ended up here. Neither I created my own body, nor I created my own mind, nor I created these forces of sun, moon, planets. I also did not create anybody else. But I am here for a reason. I am not just here to pass time. Neither am I here to get out of it because I am put here for some reason. And the quality of my participation has to be noble, based on a lot of understanding. When you begin to view your life like that, then you are enriched as a human being. You begin to live all the values, you become noble, you become refined, you become subtle, you become free of all these afflictions. And that is the person who understands the knowledge. So therefore, Lord Krishna says that, yes, karma will not give you what? The ultimate freedom. But when you perform karma as a yajna, you're offering to this grand work of the universe, which requires your participation. If you do it with that attitude, it will bless you and it will bless everybody else. So there is I will tell you a couple of stories. That's my style. I don't move to the next, because you have to relate, you have to begin to live life differently. So, one story. The one story is that there was a village, and there was a shortage of water in the village. So therefore, but everybody had little water in their thing, but there was some people who were lacking water. So what everybody decided is, we'll put little water that we have, and that collection of water will help what? The others who don't have any water. So that was decided, and each one thought, that others will do it, why should I do my part? Because everybody had limited water and it took a little bit of effort to save the water for somebody else. So everybody else thought somebody else will do it. How much water was there collected? Nothing. Because everybody else is waiting for somebody else to do the job and you want a free ride. That is one case. In the other case, there was a drought in the village, and each one said that there was shortage of. So what they said is each one will save a little bit of grain to feed many other people who were not being fed, and everybody did their job, and there were heaps of rice, which not only fed that village but other villages. Two different ways of looking at it. So that means that you are in this world not only to benefit from others' work and you sit still because you are interested in moksha. You first have to learn to be a participant. That will bless you. Your quality of participation has to become what? That of a contributor. Like Swamiji in the presentation said, life begins when you become a contributor. So therefore, this is what it is. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit more complex story. And the story is very interesting. Somebody told me the story and I liked it. I don't remember, and this is, by the way, it is told that it's a true story. And the characters, I don't remember the names, but they are big characters, but I don't remember. My memory for names are not very good. This story is set in the US before the World War, and there was this little young man who he was maybe in his 20s, and he got into Stanford University to study, but he didn't have the money. He didn't have the money to pay the fees. So therefore, he, being a smart guy, he said, okay, let me think of ways, problem-solving mode. Let me think of ways to what? Raise the money instead of sitting and saying, oh, I can't get it, right? I can't go to school. So what he did is, he approached a very famous pianist and his manager, and he says, can we do a fundraising concert? And in that fundraising concert, so let's say you charge me a little fee for whatever you want for the artist, which is, let's say, for the time being, I don't know what it was, let's say $5,000, for example. And the rest, whatever I get from the concert, which is above 5,000, which I will keep for my fees. So the manager kind of agreed because it was a good cause. And they said, okay, we'll do the concert. And before the concert is done, he has to sell the tickets, right? Now, when the tickets were sold, what happened is the amount that, not enough tickets were sold, so the amount that he collected was not enough to pay him. If he paid him fully, hardly anything would remain. So that defeats the whole purpose because he wanted to, he have the money to go to school. So then he goes to the manager a few days before the concert and he says, sorry, this is not working out because I'm hardly making anything. And the manager then brought that to the attention of the pianist. So the pianist said, doesn't matter, not only I don't want that 5,000, you can keep it, whatever that amount is, you can keep the entire amount, but I'll also give you a little bit more to support you in your study. The pianist. Concert happened, money was raised, he went to school. Now, this pianist, after the Second World War, became the president of Poland. And the president of Poland after the World War, and in one of the years right after the World War, there was a drought in Poland and people were starving. So this pianist, who is now the president of Poland, asked US for aid. And a lot of grains and a lot of food was sent to Poland to help them, which saw them through the drought. The Polish president was so thankful to the American president, and he said, "Oh, let me go and thank him personally for saving my country." So he goes to the US, he meets the president, and he tells the president, "President, I'm so thankful that you helped my country by sending so much food, much more than what was necessary." The president, what was the answer of the president? Do you know? The answer of the president was, "You don't have to thank me, I have to thank you." What? I have to thank, you have to thank me? For what? And he said, "Do you remember a few years ago, you helped this boy and you gave your money? I am that person. I am that person. I graduated from Stanford and I became President of United States of America. It was your generosity which helped me in life." And today, I'm very happy to do for you. This is nothing for me. You don't know interconnectedness. From where to where. Your decisions, what kind of, who it is going to help, to become what, and how it will then come back to you, you just don't know. But what normally happens is our decision making becomes only what? Preserve my self-interest. And therefore, this is part of growth. Magic begins to happen when you become a contributor. You begin to see the play of Ishvara, that you feel blessed. You begin to see the grace. You have to live with that, where things will come to you. But things will not come to you if you are this insecure, dissatisfied, complaining human being. You have to open up. In whatever little thing that you can do, to whoever, it may sound insignificant, but you are not living in a world which is meaningless, random world. You are living in a world which is manifestation of Ishvara, all interconnected, all through laws. When you do your part, he says, Siddhim Vindati Manava Swakarmana Tam-Abhyarcha. You're offering to this universe in form of your actions which are based on your talents. your skills, your resources, your mind which is open. So this is what he says, don't think karma is redundant. Karma done with this attitude of yajna will free you from karma bandhana through making you that person which is equivalent of clean water, where the knowledge can shine like clear daylight. No struggles. So don't see karma as some inconvenience in your path of knowledge. This is how we generally think. Try to get rid of karma so that you can concentrate on knowledge. Actually, you need to. Surya used a beautiful terminology. He says from karta, you have to become mahakarta. Then you become free from all actions.
It's not mine, it's Yoga Vashishta.
Yoga Vashishta.
It is Rama who is taught by Vashishta.
But I saw your written.
Yeah.
So I thought it was him, but interconnectedness. So therefore, this is what is the idea. Say tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangat samachara. If the very action which you first did it only and for your personal interest, if you can convert it into a yajna, your contribution to the universe, then the same karma which gave you all these afflictions will help you in that journey of freedom. So therefore, the swakarma is very, very important. That's through which you contribute to the universe. So then he gives a counter example. And he says, Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayaha akharurindriya ramaha mudam partha sajivati. Here he says, this chakra of interconnectedness is already in place. People who don't participate, don't do their job, here he says, they are what? They are like thieves. They are wasting their life. They are ones who are the only basis of their participation is what? My gain, me, I am at this narrowly defined self-interest like that of Duryodhana. How can I grab the most for my well-being? Who cares if others have to suffer? So that he says that those people are called Aghayu Indriya Ramaha. All the decisions which are made from what? Your needs, and therefore they don't follow what? The whole complex network of connections and make their contribution to enhance the network. They disturb the network and they get disturbed in the process. Mogham partha sajivati. Their life becomes wasted life. Wasted. A few moments of little kind of, I went to a party, had a couple of drinks, I did this, had a girlfriend is nothing bad, I had a girlfriend. But that becomes a few things that you are just, and that's it, and one day you're gone from this earth. So that means you have to give a much bigger meaning to your life, even if your ultimate goal is moksha. still you need to participate. And still you need to improve the quality of participation. So therefore, this is what Lord Krishna is answering to to Arjuna, whose main thing was, hey, if knowledge is going to give me moksha, why are you asking me to do all these karma? It seems like karma is this additional burden that he has to deal with. He says, you convert that with change in attitude. So therefore, now, what is the time? 10:25. So there is only 5 minutes, and the next verse is talking about something quite different, which is this whole idea of avatara. So I don't want to start it now. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to tell you one more story. To give you the idea of interconnectedness. So this story is from Leo Tolstoy. And the Leo Tolstoy was one of the favorite authors of Mahatma Gandhi. And yeah, he loved him very much. He was inspired. But there are some 2 or 3 things that Gandhiji was inspired by. One was Bhagavad Gita, the other one is writings of Leo Tolstoy, and the third one something else. It's a lovely story. It's a very simple story, but it's very interesting how it moves. It kind of, I want to use it to show you the interconnectedness. So, the name of the story is Forged Coupon. The Polish, and I mean, that's a positive story. This has a little twist, right? So, the name of the story is Forged Coupon. And what happens in that story is, it starts with Russia, Moscow. And there is this father who's on a Sunday morning reading his newspaper, and a little boy his own son walks in, and the father is quite happily reading the newspaper, and the son says, "Father, father." He says, "Yeah." He says, "Oh, this is the beginning of the month." "Oh, okay. It's a time for my allowance." "Oh, my pocket money." So the father says, "Yeah, sure." Then he says, "Oh, but father, this month I want his normal allowance in that time, Leo Tolstoy's time, was 2 rubles. So he says, "But this month I want 10 rubles. "What? From 2 rubles to 10 rubles? So he said, "Yeah, because," "Why?" So he says, "Yeah, because during the week there was a show, and I wanted to go for the show, and I was too scared to ask you for money, so I borrowed it from my friend, but I promised him that I will give back the money at the beginning of the month when I get my allowance, and the ticket for the show was 8 rubles. So therefore, this month I need 10 rubles. Father said, "What? You didn't even tell me that you went for a show? And you didn't even ask for my permission? And now you have audacity to just come and ask me for like 10 rubles? Forget it. I'm not going to do it." So the boy didn't expect that reaction, because the boy didn't know, he didn't do anything wrong. He thought he just went for a little show with his friend. And now, not only he's made to feel very guilty about it, but how is he going to pay back his friend? So therefore, he says, okay, all I can do is to give you the normal allowance, which is 2 rubles. And he gave him a coupon of 2 rubles. Boy is not knowing what to do. The boy feels so bad, the way he felt totally not understood by his father. Plus, the boy has no idea how to pay back. So, he goes to his another friend and he says, "Can I please borrow 8 rubles from you?" The little boy says, "I don't have that kind of money to lend you." He says, "But why do you want that money?" He says, "Oh, I have to repay because I borrowed to see a show." So the boy says, "Okay, so he said, can you come up?" So he said, "Okay, now what do you have now?" The other boy was trying to help him. He says, "All I have is this 2 ruble coupon. That's all my father gave me as a normal allowance, and I don't have anything else." So this little boy, the other boy, the friend, says, "I can't give you the money, but I have an idea." "Oh, what's the idea?" All you have to do is, there is 2 here. What we do is, we add 1 in front. What does it become? It becomes a 12 ruble coupon. Oh! The first reaction of the boy is, how can we do it? That's cheating. But the boy thinks about it and says, what are my options? What can I do? I don't have. The little boy has no other solution. So therefore, the boy decides to go along with this plan. So what happens? 1 is written in front of 2. From then on, it is what? The forged coupon. The name of the story. It becomes a forged coupon. Now, these boys say, what do we do with this 12 ruble coupon? Let's go to, not in our neighborhood because they all know us, let's go a little far. Let's go to a shop and buy things worth 2 rubles. And we will get what? 10 rubles back. From these 10 rubles, we'll give back what? He will give back to his friend 8 rubles and he will have what? 2 ruble as he's supposed to have. Good plan. So they go a little bit far away and they, you know the story? So what they do is, they go a little far away, they go to a shop, and the shop has this nice little woman. So both little boys enter the shop, they buy some sweets worth 2 rubles. And then, as a payment, they give the coupon. The old lady doesn't suspect 2 little boys, she doesn't check, she doesn't look very closely, and she nicely, happily gives back 10 rubles. The boys are happy. Wonderful, the problem is solved. They didn't think it was as easy. They got sweets. He retained his 2 euros, by 2 euros, not rubles, and 8 rubles he ran quickly and gave back to his friend. Problem is solved in his vision. But this is Leo Tolstoy. Story goes on. So what then happens is, the scene moves to night in that shop. The night in that shop, the husband comes to do the accounts for the day. And as he's doing the accounts, he sees something and he immediately notices that there is something fishy about this coupon. So he asks his wife, "Hey, what is this?" She says, "This is a coupon. 2 young boys came, they bought some sweets and they gave me this and I gave them back the change." He starts shouting at her, "You are so careless. Can't you see that they've just added this 1 in front? I never can trust anything on you." So therefore, he starts shouting at her. And the woman is thinking to herself, this man keeps shouting at me. He makes so many mistakes, I don't say anything. That little mistake and he's just telling me I'm careless, I can't do anything right, you're useless. What is this? My mom told me not to marry him. Why did I do it? So then there's a huge fight between the two. Then the man, who is the shopkeeper, the owner, he can't handle a loss of 8 euros, 8 rubles. So he says, let me get rid of this coupon. What can I do? So he says, winter is coming, I need a lot of wood. So therefore, let me go to a faraway village, buy some wood from the peasant. He will not notice, let me give him this 12 ruble coupon and let me get the wood which will last me for the whole winter. So therefore, he goes to faraway village and he finds a victim. He finds a peasant, he buys the wood for the whole winter and gives him 12 ruble coupon. The peasant is really happy. Wow, today somebody came from the city and bought so much wood. Wonderful. So at night he wanted to go to a local bar and celebrate. So he goes to a local bar and has a couple of vodka, and then he pays with the coupon. The bar owner also notices, he calls the police and the peasant is in jail. Couple more events and Leo Tolstoy ends his story by this series of events. Who is responsible? Who is responsible?
Each person who decided to give the coupon to the next.
Exactly. So the thing is, it's very tricky. It doesn't even seem like a huge dereliction of duty when the father says, yeah, why did you not ask me? You should have asked me, I'm not going to give you. Doesn't seem like some big crime. But the consequences are just too many. So that means what it tells is you never can actually know what are the consequences, but small events in life. We think these are small events, they don't do anything. Small events can leave habits, scars, the feelings for lifetime. So therefore, when you make choices, one has to really, being noble is to really look beyond and at least try to look at the consequences of your choices, not only for yourself, but on others.
But a kid, like, I don't know how old the kid was, doesn't have the capacity yet to do that. He just is kind of limited by nature. So I guess the father has to do that for the kids in order to kind of stop the whole.
See,
But like, it's
a little tricky. So I think what can probably be done is a little bit of a communication and participation, right? That why, at least try to understand why he did it, and then say that you probably can't do it next time. Ask me at least next time. So there has to be a participation in actually molding the behavior of a child rather than rule-based.
and communication.
In communication. Exactly.
Or in long life, kids will go to the mother.
And she'll give.
Yeah.
So it's true that you can't just leave kids alone, you do need to discipline them, but how and how much you participate, how much you communicate when you take them along with you rather than kind of, just create rules. This rule-based discipline
actually destroys kids.
I guess you have
Because-
to make a learning experience out of the situation and see, listen, you have done that, now how can we together fix it in a way that you participate? You earn some money by mowing the lawn or whatever, and I give you some money.
I'm going to meet your son. So
It's tough sometimes.
it's tough.
You know?
That's why I told the story, because, tricky. These are subtle stories. These are not some big crime or anything, but you can see how it evolves, and it touches lives of so many people. This is what we say, that this interconnectedness, yajna. And the more sensitive you become, the more kind of, this is growth. And that participate, take the person along, help the person to understand the consequences, but don't leave that little boy to solve the problem on his own. Because he'll find easy solutions, not because he's bad, just because he doesn't see how else.
You should teach him, put the one not before, but behind
He become 21. Why did he do only 12? So, this is the story of interconnectedness. So therefore, the actions that you perform, whether you are a mumukshu or not a mumukshu, there is no escape from action. Arjuna wanted to escape. There is no escape. But there is a huge possibility of conversion, change of story. What am I doing? Why am I doing? The purpose for which I'm doing, the intelligence with which I'm intervening, the attitude with which I receive the result, all of that can change. No shortcut. So this is what the Katha Yoga is. Now there is yet another change of topic, and in the next verses is a talk about Avatara. Lord Krishna introduces himself, and he introduces himself as Avatara. So we'll see what that is. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.